Who hired you? A child? Khalil al-Rashid growled, slamming his crystal water glass down with enough force to make the lemon wedge bounce. The sound of ice colliding echoed across the white marble table, drawing glances from nearby guests. Can you even carry a drink without embarrassing yourself? He leaned back into the velvet chair, gesturing with a hand heavy with designer rings. Stupid girl. The air shifted. Maya stood still, tray in hand, the condensation from the overturned glass trailing toward her wrist. She blinked once, absorbing the moment. Not absorbing the insult. That didn't deserve space. Just memorizing the shape of the moment, the posture, the silence of those seated around him. I asked if you'd like your water replaced, she said evenly. Khalil chuckled. No need. You've already poured enough of your intelligence onto the table. There was a pause. Not long. Just a breath where Maya's spine straightened by 2 degrees. Stillness, not submission. I'll have another water, he added, assuming you can handle that without needing subtitles. The investor to his left, a pale man in a navy pinstripe suit, coughed quietly into his napkin. The woman across from him, PR director for the U.S. launch of Al-Rashid Tech Holdings, reached for her phone. Not to call. To record, Khalil's accent was thick with pride, polished by European education and Gulf wealth. His English rolled with entitlement. His Arabic, sharper, and now he switched to it without thinking. هل من الصعب جدا العثور على خادمة تفهم? Is it really that hard to find a maid who understands? He smirked. كل ما تفعله هو الوقوف هناك مثل التمثال. لا دماغ. لا فائدة. All she does is stand there like a statue. No brain, no use. The PR woman's fingers stopped typing. Her head lifted slightly. The investor blinked. Did you just... Maya's voice cut through the air like silk over glass. Fluent, precise, unmistakably native. هل تعتقد أنني لا أفهمك? Do you think I don't understand you? The table froze. Maya shifted her weight, voice still level. أنا أفهم كل كلمة تقولها، وبصراحة من العار أن شخصاً بمكانتك يتحدث بهذه الطريقة. I understand every word you say, and frankly, it's a shame someone in your position speaks that way. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't drop the tray. She just stood, grounded, clear. Khalil's lips parted, a moment of panic behind practiced arrogance. You speak Arabic? Maya tilted her head just slightly. I lived in Beirut for 5 years. Your dialect's not hard to follow. The silence stretched. Then one last phrase, measured and calm. كرامتك ليست أعلى من خدمتي، لكن أسلوبي أرفع من إهاناتك. Your position doesn't make you higher than my service, but my tone will always be higher than your insults. She turned, walked away, and didn't look back. The entire lounge held its breath. Khalil al-Rashid didn't say another word for the next 5 minutes. The investor beside him checked his phone with new interest. The PR director didn't meet his eyes. She quietly tapped her recording off and tucked the phone back into her bag like a sealed confession. Across the lounge, murmurs rolled through the other tables. A waiter passing by glanced nervously at the scene, unsure whether to intervene or disappear. Khalil shifted in his seat. His skin flushed, not with shame, but with the distinct heat of a man no longer in control of the narrative. I don't like being humiliated, he muttered. It wasn't humiliation, the investor said, not looking up. It was translation, Khalil turned sharply. What's that supposed to mean? The PR director finally spoke, her voice clipped. It means she didn't raise her voice. She didn't curse. She just let your words echo in both languages. You think I should apologize? No, she said. I think you should sit still before this becomes a headline. But it already had. Across the lounge, a woman near the bar uploaded a 13-second video to TikTok. No faces, just audio. Maya's voice, calm, crisp Arabic. Khalil's earlier mutter, unmistakable. The caption read, Arab CEO insults black waitress. She replies like a queen. Within 20 minutes, it had 34,000 views. Within an hour, it hit Twitter. By morning, it hit CNN. Back in the kitchen, Maya set her tray down gently. The dishwasher paused mid-cycle. A busser whispered, "Did you really just speak Arabic to him?" Maya nodded, slipping off her apron. "You good?" the sous chef asked. "I'm not bleeding," she said. "Just remembering." Remembering what? She looked him in the eye. What silence sounds like when it stops pretending. Upstairs, the hotel manager was already reviewing footage from security cam Upper 12, which caught the tail end of the exchange. Enough to see Khalil slam the glass. Enough to hear the insult. Enough to see Maya's reply stop him cold. He exhaled through his nose. "Please tell me someone from PR was sitting there," his assistant. "She recorded it herself." "Good." He paused. "No, dangerous. Call legal." By 10 a.m. the next morning, Maya's name was trending across social media. But she hadn't posted a word. She hadn't tweeted. She hadn't filmed herself. She was in line at the pharmacy picking up meds for her grandmother. The clerk behind the counter smiled. "You're her, aren't you?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "The one who speaks truth in 2 languages. Maya didn't respond. She just paid and walked out. Back at Al Rashid Holdings, Khalil's office was under siege, not with protesters, but emails. Dozens from partners, hundreds from the public. One read, "Do your executives always speak to staff like colonizers?" Another, "I'm a VC. If this is how you treat people, don't bother pitching in New York again." The company's official account posted a single line. "We are aware of the incident and are conducting a full internal review. No apology. No names. Just distance." But the internet doesn't forgive silence, especially not the kind that once called someone a stupid girl. At the hotel, the GM asked to speak with Maya privately. She entered the office wearing the same simple flats and pressed blouse she always wore. "Maya," he began, "you're not in trouble. I want to make that clear." "I know," she said calmly. "We're aware of the incident. It's already spread," she nodded. "I assumed. We're reviewing the footage. I've been advised to offer you some form of leave while the hotel handles press." "I'm not taking leave," she said. He blinked. "You don't want time off?" "No," she said. "I want my shift. I want my check. And I want you to say something publicly and because the silence won't protect anyone anymore." He nodded slowly. "We're drafting a statement." "Make sure it has my name in it," Maya said. "If I'm being made visible, I won't let anyone else write the caption." That afternoon, the hotel's official account posted, "We support Maya, our valued colleague. Disrespect in any language has no place in our establishment. Her grace, fluency, and professionalism are a credit to this team." Below that, a photo of Maya walking through the lounge, back straight, hands folded, eyes steady. The comments poured in. "That's how you carry dignity. Hire her, elevate her, elect her." She didn't speak back. She spoke through. Khalil stayed silent for 48 hours. His legal team scrambled. Crisis managers cycled through damage control scripts. But you can't redact a tone. You can't untranslate what the world already heard. Day 3. CNN anchor opens with, "Tonight, we revisit a viral moment of power imbalance and linguistic precision," after a prominent tech CEO's dismissive remarks were answered not with outrage, but fluency. They roll the tape. Maya's calm voice. Khalil's muttered insult. The moment his face fell, cut to a language professor. What she did was more than a reply. She reclaimed the space he tried to shrink. And she did it in his native tongue, without violence, without permission. Later that week, Maya was invited to speak at Emory University's Language and Power Symposium. She declined. She wasn't interested in speeches. Not yet. Her silence wasn't withdrawal. It was preparation, because she knew what came next. They'd dig into her past, call her lucky, try to shift the narrative, and that's fine. Let them try. She'd already spoken once. And when she spoke again, it wouldn't be for applause. It would be for accountability. The posture. The silence of those seated around him. "I asked if you'd like your water replaced," she said evenly. Khalil chuckled. "No need. You've already poured enough of your intelligence onto the table." There was a pause. Not long. Just a breath where Maya's spine straightened by 2 degrees. Stillness, not submission. "I'll have another water," he added, assuming you can handle that without needing subtitles. The investor to his left, a pale man in a navy pinstripe suit, coughed quietly into his napkin. The woman across from him, PR director for the U.S. launch of Al Rashid Tech Holdings, reached for her phone. Not to call. To record, Khalil's accent was thick with pride, polished by European education and Gulf wealth. His English rolled with entitlement. His Arabic, sharper, and now he switched to it without thinking. هل من الصعب جدا العثور على خادمة تفهم? Is it really that hard to find a maid who understands? He smirked. كل ما تفعله هو الوقوف هناك مثل التمثال. لا دماغ. لا فائدة. All she does is stand there like a statue. No brain, no use. The PR woman's fingers stopped typing. Her head lifted slightly. The investor blinked. "Did you just—" Maya's voice cut through the air like silk over glass. Fluent, precise, unmistakably native. هل تعتقد أنني لا أفهمك? Do you think I don't understand you? The table froze. Maya shifted her weight, voice still level. أنا أفهم كل كلمة تقولها، وبصراحة من العار أن شخصاً بمكانتك يتحدث بهذه الطريقة. I understand every word you say, and frankly, it's a shame someone in your position speaks that way. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't drop the tray. She just stood, grounded, clear. Khalil's lips parted, a moment of panic behind practiced arrogance. "You speak Arabic?" Maya tilted her head just slightly. "I lived in Beirut for 5 years. Your dialect's not hard to follow." The silence stretched. Then one last phrase, measured and calm. "كرامتك ليست أعلى من خدمتي، لكن أسلوبي أرفع من إهاناتك. Your position doesn't make you higher than my service, but my tone will always be higher than your insults." She turned, walked away, and didn't look back. The entire lounge held its breath. Khalil al-Rashid didn't say another word for the next 5 minutes. The investor beside him checked his phone with new interest. The PR director didn't meet his eyes. She quietly tapped her recording off and tucked the phone back into her bag like a sealed confession. Across the lounge, murmurs rolled through the other tables. A waiter passing by glanced nervously at the scene, unsure whether to intervene or disappear. Khalil shifted in his seat. His skin flushed, not with shame, but with the distinct heat of a man no longer in control of the narrative. "I don't like being humiliated," he muttered. "It wasn't humiliation," the investor said, not looking up. "It was translation," Khalil turned sharply. "What's that supposed to mean?" The PR director finally spoke, her voice clipped. "It means she didn't raise her voice. She didn't curse. She just let your words echo in both languages. You think I should apologize?" "No," she said. "I think you should sit still before this becomes a headline." But it already had. Across the lounge, a woman near the bar uploaded a 13-second video to TikTok. No faces, just audio. Maya's voice, calm, crisp Arabic. Khalil's earlier mutter, unmistakable. The caption read, "Arab CEO insults black waitress. She replies like a queen." Within 20 minutes, it had 34,000 views. Within an hour, it hit Twitter. By morning, it hit CNN. Back in the kitchen, Maya set her tray down gently. The dishwasher paused mid-cycle. A busser whispered, "Did you really just speak Arabic to him?" Maya nodded, slipping off her apron. "You good?" the sous chef asked. "I'm not bleeding," she said. "Just remembering." Remembering what? She looked him in the eye. What silence sounds like when it stops pretending. Upstairs, the hotel manager was already reviewing footage from security cam Upper 12, which caught the tail end of the exchange. Enough to see Khalil slam the glass. Enough to hear the insult. Enough to see Maya's reply stop him cold. He exhaled through his nose. "Please tell me someone from PR was sitting there," his assistant. "She recorded it herself." "Good." He paused. "No, dangerous. Call legal." By 10 a.m. the next morning, Maya's name was trending across social media. But she hadn't posted a word. She hadn't tweeted. She hadn't filmed herself. She was in line at the pharmacy picking up meds for her grandmother. The clerk behind the counter smiled. "You're her, aren't you?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "The one who speaks truth in 2 languages." Maya didn't respond. She just paid and walked out. Back at Al-Rashid Holdings, Khalil's office was under siege, not with protesters, but emails. Dozens from partners, hundreds from the public. One read, "Do your executives always speak to staff like colonizers?" Another, "I'm a VC. If this is how you treat people, don't bother pitching in New York again." The company's official account posted a single line, "We are aware of the incident and are conducting a full internal review." No apology, no names, just distance. But the internet doesn't forgive silence, especially not the kind that once called someone a stupid girl. At the hotel, the GM asked to speak with Maya privately. She entered the office wearing the same simple flats and pressed blouse she always wore. "Maya," he began, "you're not in trouble. I want to make that clear." "I know," she said calmly. "We're aware of the incident. It's already spread," she nodded. "I assumed. We're reviewing the footage. I've been advised to offer you some form of leave while the hotel handles press." "I'm not taking leave," she said. He blinked. "You don't want time off?" "No," she said. "I want my shift. I want my check. And I want you to say something publicly, and because the silence won't protect anyone anymore." He nodded slowly. "We're drafting a statement." "Make sure it has my name in it," Maya said. "If I'm being made visible, I won't let anyone else write the caption." That afternoon, the hotel's official account posted, "We support Maya, our valued colleague. Disrespect in any language has no place in our establishment. Her grace, fluency, and professionalism are a credit to this team." Below that, a photo of Maya walking through the lounge, back straight, hands folded, eyes steady. The comments poured in. "That's how you carry dignity. Hire her, elevate her, elect her." She didn't speak back. She spoke through. Khalil stayed silent for 48 hours. His legal team scrambled. Crisis managers cycled through damage control scripts. But you can't redact a tone. You can't untranslate what the world already heard. Day 3. CNN anchor opens with, "Tonight, we revisit a viral moment of power imbalance and linguistic precision," after a prominent tech CEO's dismissive remarks were answered not with outrage, but fluency. They roll the tape. Maya's calm voice. Khalil's muttered insult. The moment his face fell, cut to a language professor. What she did was more than a reply. She reclaimed the space he tried to shrink. And she did it in his native tongue, without violence, without permission. Later that week, Maya was invited to speak at Emory University's Language and Power Symposium. She declined. She wasn't interested in speeches. Not yet. Her silence wasn't withdrawal. It was preparation, because she knew what came next. They'd dig into her past, call her lucky, try to shift the narrative, and that's fine. Let them try. She'd already spoken once. And when she spoke again, it wouldn't be for applause. It would be for accountability. The call came at 6:22 a.m. London time. Khalil al-Rashid's legal advisor, Nadim al-Qurashi, answered on the second ring. "You're trending," the crisis manager said. Not in a good way. Khalil sat up in bed, staring at the hotel ceiling. "It's overblown. A service interaction. It's a multilingual takedown by a black woman with perfect Arabic and perfect posture," the manager interrupted. "It's clean, it's recorded, and it's everywhere." Khalil's hand gripped the edge of the sheets. "Then fix it. We're working on it. But you should know, one of your guests uploaded audio. Full exchange. No context cut. No edits," Khalil exhaled. "Damage control." "That's not what this is," the manager said. "This is reputational triage. By 80 a.m., the firm had already activated its rapid containment strategy playbook. Step 1, issue a non-apology. Step 2, question the full context. Step 3, suggest cultural misunderstanding. Step 4, discredit the individual. The draft read, "Al-Rashid Holdings takes all interactions seriously, Mr. Al-Rashid regrets if any misunderstanding occurred. The team is reviewing the full context of the exchange. A single word, regrets, without owning a thing. Inside the PR war room, the whiteboard said, Target, May I eyes she qualified. What's her immigration status? Any social media vulnerabilities? Who can we pay to dilute the story? They didn't want facts. They wanted friction. Someone suggested framing her as emotionally unstable. Another pitched a headline. Waitress with history of workplace complaints faces public scrutiny. Never mind that she had no such history. Khalil circled one word on the board. Ungrateful, that's the narrative, he said. I give a job. She humiliates me in return. Across town, Maya poured tea for her grandmother and watered the basil on the windowsill. She hadn't spoken to the media, hadn't responded to DMs, hadn't tweeted, but she was reading, watching, saving. Her phone vibrated again, another unknown number. She let it go to voicemail, then opened her notes app and started a file titled Their Version. Under it, she began cataloging the emerging attacks. She provoked him. She misunderstood. She exaggerated. She's not even fully fluent. She highlighted each one, not because they hurt, but because she'd heard them before, in job interviews, in classrooms, in elevators where men assumed she didn't belong. They were not new, only louder now. At a newsroom in New York, a cable anchor asked the panel, "Is this an overreaction?" A CEO misspeaks, a waitress responds, "Why the outrage?" The lone black panelist leaned forward. Because this isn't a story about a drink order. It's about how quickly power reveals itself when it thinks no one's listening, and how rare it is for someone to speak back with fluency and dignity. Khalil's crisis manager released a new angle to the press. Sources say the employee in question has been confrontational in the past. No source, no detail. Just implication. Next came an anonymous quote. She was known for overstepping with customers. False, invented, but sticky. In a private Slack channel, Al-Rashid's communications team drafted tweets under fake accounts. She set him up. Notice how calm she was? Why was she recording? Maybe she wanted to go viral. They called it de-escalation through narrative fog. The goal wasn't to disprove Maya, just to confuse the audience long enough to move on. Back at the hotel, Maya was called in for a meeting. The general manager sat with HR and a representative from the parent company. "We want to offer you a settlement," the HR rep said, sliding over an envelope. Maya didn't touch it. "What's the condition?" "No press. No statements. A mutual separation agreement." She smiled. A closed-mouth, quiet thing. "You're offering to buy back your silence. It's standard protocol. It's self-protection disguised as policy," Maya said. The HR director swallowed hard. "You're making this bigger than it needs to be." "No," she said. "I'm making it visible." She left the room without taking the envelope. Back in her locker, she opened her phone and added a new note. Attempts to silence. Attached. Time names. Present, offer terms, verbal phrases. Standard, mutual, quiet resolution. Meanwhile, the Al-Rashid Holdings site removed Khalil's photo from the homepage. Internal email to employees. Mr. Al-Rashid will be taking a temporary step back to allow space for healing and learning. Code for, we'll see if the news cycle forgets. But it didn't, because the backlash wasn't driven by Maya. It was driven by memory. Collective. Cultural. Global. In London, a non-profit issued a statement. We offered Maya a Language Equity Award. She declined. Said she'd rather the funds go toward training bilingual service workers. In Beirut, her alma mater reposted the video with a caption in Arabic. "You taught us how to speak. She taught us when." In Atlanta, a group of wait staff started wearing pins that said, "Ana Ufham, I understand." Still, the attacks didn't stop. An op-ed ran in a business paper, "When wokeness goes too far, weaponizing multilingualism." TV panels debated if Maya had used the moment for attention. They never asked why the man with the microphone tried to erase her voice. Khalil gave his first interview 4 days after the incident. Soft lighting, cozy chair, scripted sorrow. I never meant to offend, he said. I deeply regret the tone. He offered no apology to Maya, no ownership of his words. He ended with, we live in an emotional time. We all must be careful what we say. The interviewer nodded as if it were wisdom, but the internet knew better. Later that night, Maya received a call. The voice on the other end was calm. Ms. Johnson, I'm calling from the Department of Labor. We'd like to speak to you about your former employer's behavior. She closed her eyes. Send me the paperwork. At that moment, Khalil sat in his office, watching a loop of the video for the 10th time. You look small, his advisor said. Khalil muttered. She caught me off guard. No, the advisor replied. She just caught you being you. Outside, the narrative had turned. From viral to verified, from incident to investigation, Maya hadn't spoken. But the silence wasn't absence, it was positioning. Because while Khalil tried to erase the moment, Maya was building a case. One receipt at a time, Maya never hired a lawyer. She opened a folder on her laptop. She created a root directory named Receipts. Inside it, subfolders, audio, screenshots, previous application, Al-Rashid statements, HR pressure. She didn't know yet if she'd file a case, but she knew the first rule of power. Don't raise your voice. Raise your documentation. Her first upload, a screen recording of Khalil's Arabic insult, taken from the original viral clip. Maya slowed it down, paused on his mouth, forming the words. تبدو خادمة ليس لديها عقل. She looks like a maid. No brain. Below it, she wrote a note. Let them see the full sentence. The next upload, her own job rejection email from 2 months earlier. Dear Ms. Johnson, thank you for your interest in the Cultural Liaison Assistant position at Al-Rashid Global. We regret to inform you, she had applied to the very company Khalil ran. They rejected her without interview. Qualifications: fluent in Arabic and French, lived abroad, graduated top of class in Beirut, former State Department translation intern, but her name, Maya Johnson, told them all they wanted to know. She added the rejection letter to her pattern folder. Then she sat back and opened a blank document titled, Everything They Didn't Expect. Meanwhile, across the hotel lounge, the bartender, Jordan, sent Maya a text. Yo, just saw the video. I got something you might want. She replied, I'm listening. He dropped a file into a shared Google Drive. Cam 12 backup bar audio DEM-P4. The hotel's bar had its own mic feed, separate from the floor cameras. Jordan had downloaded it weeks ago during an IT system upgrade. The mic had picked up the entire conversation, crystal clear. 2 languages, one man exposing himself. She moved the file into audio and labeled it, Truth at 7:43 p.m. The conference room wasn't a courtroom, but it held the same weight, frosted glass, chrome accents, 2 flags, state and federal, behind a long black table, a recorder on standby, a notary already seated. Khalil walked in with his legal team behind him like a tail. Suit immaculate, jaw tight, voice rehearsed. He didn't ask who else would be in the room. He assumed the silence belonged to him. The chair at the far end was still empty. His lawyer leaned in. It's just a preliminary compliance hearing. Worst case, they fine us. Stay calm. Stick to your line. Khalil adjusted his cufflinks and glanced at the clock. I've been calm since day 1. Behind him, the door opened. Everyone turned. Maya Johnson stepped into the room. Not in a blazer, not in heels, in a plain black suit, neutral, authoritative, unreadable. A court-issued ID badge clipped to her lapel. Khalil blinked. His lawyer whispered, Wait, is she... The federal coordinator stood. We're joined today by Maya Johnson, acting as certified interpreter, cultural compliance advisor, and language integrity specialist appointed by the board. Khalil didn't speak. He couldn't. She took her seat at the opposite end of the table. Equal distance, equal rank. Her nameplate slid across to face him. Maya Johnson, JD, Arabic-English Legal Interpreter, Compliance Oversight Division. Khalil sat back slowly. This is a joke. No, the coordinator said. This is policy, the moderator began. Mr. Al-Rashid, this hearing is to determine whether your organization has violated language discrimination protocols under Section 902 of the Civil Accommodation Statute. Ms. Johnson has been appointed due to both her credentials and her relevance to the case in review. Maya opened her folder, calm. I'll be evaluating accuracy and intent in all bilingual interactions during this meeting. Shall we proceed in English or Arabic? Khalil stared at her. You have no authority here, the coordinator replied. She does now. His lawyer stammered. We object to her presence. Noted, the clerk said, but overruled. Maya looked at Khalil for the first time since entering. Not with venom, with something far more devastating. Comprehension. Let the record reflect, she said evenly. The respondent expressed concern about my authority, but no concern when insulting my intelligence. Silence. Then she continued. The phrase used on July 8th was, she looks like a maid, no brains. Translation confirmed from 3 independent recordings. She didn't raise her voice, because truth doesn't shout when it's already on record. Khalil leaned toward the coordinator. You brought her here to embarrass me? No, Maya replied before anyone else could. They brought me because I speak both languages, and because this time, the woman you disrespected knew exactly how to document it. The hearing proceeded. Maya read the transcripts, flipped through the evidence, logged discrepancies in company emails. At one point, Khalil muttered something in Arabic under his breath. Maya didn't even look up. She simply translated aloud. Let the record show the respondent said, this woman is a virus to my name. The coordinator turned sharply. Mr. Al-Rashid? He stared at her. That's not what I meant. But it is what you said, Maya replied. And this time, I'm paid to remember. By noon, the hearing had gathered 3 federal observers, 2 translators, and 1 HR compliance officer from the hotel chain. Maya maintained control without ever raising her tone. Every time Khalil tried to pivot, she redirected. Every time his lawyer tried to soften the language, she clarified. He said, these kinds of people. Clarified. That referred to women of color in subordinate positions. He said, she's small-minded. Clarified. He used a gendered slur in Arabic with colonial undertones. Each word landed with the weight of the law, not vengeance. At one point, Khalil interrupted. I've already apologized. No, Maya said, without looking up. You regretted being recorded. That's not the same thing. The room was still, the kind of stillness that doesn't beg for drama. It demands respect. Her authority didn't need a robe, just memory and fluency. After lunch, the federal compliance director entered with new files. An unsealed envelope was placed in front of Maya. She opened it quietly, scanned it, then nodded once. She passed it to the coordinator, who read it aloud. A second complaint filed in Dubai, 2021, mirrors the language, power imbalance, and verbal abuse from Mr. Al-Rashid. Complaint was previously sealed under NDA. Victim waived confidentiality this morning. Khalil paled. The room went quiet again. Then Maya said one line. Without venom, without victory, just truth. You've done this before. This time someone spoke your language. Outside, press waited. But inside, the system turned. The coordinator closed the folder. Due to the severity and verified pattern, a full review is being escalated to federal civil litigation. Khalil rose. This isn't justice. This is spectacle. Maya finally met his eyes. No, she said. This is you, unmuted. He left the room. Cameras flashed. He said nothing. Maya gathered her folder. Jordan, the bartender, texted her a single emoji. She didn't reply. She just placed her badge back into the folder and walked out. The hallway was quiet. No cheers, no applause, just the sound of a woman walking into history without needing to shout. The investigation outgrew Maya. What started as one recorded insult was now a network of unsealed documents, internal emails, anonymous interviews, and pattern recognition software. Maya hadn't filed a lawsuit yet, but she didn't need to. The system had begun filing one against itself. At the heart of it was a private server log, accidentally attached in an internal HR export leak. A line item, archived but never deleted, read, "Case closed. Employee complaint, Dubai. 2021 language-based hostility. NDA issued. Resolved via payout. Amount paid, $47,500 USD. Complainant, redacted manager on file, K. Al-Rashid. Maya added it to her folder. She labeled it. Confirmation. Repeated behavior. Then added a new line to her internal memo. This is no longer about offense. This is about pattern and protection. Civil rights orgs started connecting dots. FrameCheck released a midterm audit of Al-Rashid Holdings. 11. Language-based complaints. Globally, 2018-2023 4. Reached arbitration 3. Settled quietly. A led to termination. All complainants were women of color. 7. Were recorded referring to Arabic remarks made, assuming no one would understand. They titled it, Multilingual Misconduct, When Fluency Fails the Powerful. Maya printed that audit, filed it under, touched third-party reports, then highlighted the phrase, zero led to termination. That's where the immunity lived. Not in wealth, not in fluency, in impunity. A former HR partner at Al-Rashid Holdings came forward anonymously on a podcast. Our internal code encouraged global communication. But behind closed doors, it was code for who looked the part. If you didn't match their client image, Euro-coded, pale, compliant, you weren't promoted. You were invisible. Another former assistant submitted a statement to FrameCheck. Khalil once told me, "No one in America speaks Arabic unless they're from there." "Oh, cleaning something," I laughed. But I wrote it down. They attached the notebook. Dated, scanned, logged. A class action interest group emerged within 10 days. 8 former employees from 3 countries. Same company. Same language. Same silence until Maya spoke. Meanwhile, Maya's folders kept growing. She renamed her root directory. Truth is a system. Inside it, internal leaks, external testimony, settlement amounts, surveillance files, legal contact log translation accuracy audit. Her. File labeled Cultural Misuse Index compared. Khalil's public statements in Arabic. Keynotes. Interviews with private remarks caught on record. Discrepancy rate, 78%. Respect in public. Disdain in private. Across social media, lawyers began offering pro bono consultation. One post read, "If you've been silenced under a corporate NDA related to language, race, or gender, we'll fight to unseal it." Maya saved the screenshot. She labeled it Floodgate. Then came the receipts no one expected. A whistleblower, former IT compliance manager, sent a flash drive to FrameCheck. Inside, email threads between executives, a 20-20 reputation protocol. Playbook and internal memo titled, "If They Speak Back, Strategy Draft." That memo included phrases like, reframe multilingual rebuttals as aggression. Suggest tone misunderstanding, always in their language. Use cultural confusion as a shield. The final line said, never admit linguistic equality. It invites structural liability. Maya read that line twice, then printed it, pinned it above her desk. One of the policy documents referenced a rarely used training module. DEI Global, Language Awareness Track. Only 3% of Al-Rashid staff had completed it. Maya requested the completion records through legal counsel. Completion rate by region, U.S., 3%. Gulf region, 1% Europe, 7% Africa, 0%. She wrote one note beside it. Fluency was never the goal. Containment was. Then came the settlement map. An investigative journalist compiled data from 5 years of lawsuits, payouts, and redacted cases, mapped across cities, color-coded by language of abuse, circled by amount paid, total, $2.3 million USD. Years, 2018 to 2023. Public accountability, 0, Maya saved the map. Then overlaid it with her own version, locations of where she had lived. Studied and applied to work. They overlapped in 3 cities, 3 times. She'd been told she wasn't the right fit. Now she had proof that fit meant silence. Khalil's defense team started unraveling. One attorney withdrew, citing ethical misalignment. An internal compliance officer quit. The board suspended Khalil from all global operations, but the documents kept surfacing because culture doesn't break with scandal. It breaks when someone shows the receipts. A university department in D.C. held a roundtable when language becomes weapon, from code switching to courtrooms. The keynote speaker? Not Maya. A 67-year-old Sudanese janitor who once translated an HR complaint for a coworker and was fired for inappropriate involvement. His final quote brought the room to tears. They said I spoke too well to mop floors, but not well enough to be believed. Maya watched the stream that night, took notes, filed it under legacy voices. By now, Khalil had disappeared from public life. No interviews, no press, no apology. But silence doesn't erase a paper trail. A coalition of women, current and former employees, sent an open letter. This isn't about a waitress correcting a CEO, it's about a system assuming she wouldn't. The letter was signed in 3 languages, Arabic, English, French. Maya read it once, then filed it under. They know now. Inside her apartment, the folders were complete, organized, time-stamped, redundantly backed up. She didn't feel triumphant. She felt tired. But she also felt ready, because now she had what no one could take from her. Not a job, not a spotlight, not applause, a body of evidence. She opened her laptop, clicked export, created a final document titled Testimony Packet, public release if needed. Then she attached one final file, a photo of herself, sitting silently at the original incident table. Caption, this was the moment. The rest was the system catching up. The subpoena landed on Khalil's desk with a dull thud. United States Department of Justice Civil Rights. Division. Subpoena. Notice case ID 27452C, language. Discrimination in corporate infrastructure, Stared at it for 3 full minutes before speaking. No one wins in court, he said finally, but this time, the court wasn't asking for a winner. It was asking for the truth, documented, recorded, archived. By the time the depositions began, Maya's file had been submitted as Exhibit A, 184 pages, cross-referenced, chain of custody certified, verified by 2 independent translation consultants. The DOJ's lead attorney held up the file in court. This is not one person's claim. This is a cultural operations manual for how to suppress, insult, and discredit employees who speak back in the wrong language. Or the wrong body. Khalil entered the courtroom in a dark navy suit. His posture was straight. His face, unreadable, Maya didn't look at him. She was seated at the legal consultant's table. Not in the witness box, not in the audience, at the table, where professionals sit, where power listens. The judge began with the protocol. This proceeding is not criminal at this stage, but pertains to civil violations of Title VII and the Federal Language Equity Act, subsection 12.3 and 17.4. Then came the evidence review. Every document Maya compiled, every audio file, every NDA, every internal email, all played aloud. No yelling, no debate. Just playback. The court clerk read aloud a line from Khalil's prior interview. We all must be careful what we say. Then pressed play on the recording from Dubai. 2021, she looks like a servant. No brains. The courtroom didn't gasp. It sat still. Stillness hurts more when it's watching something die. Maya's voice played next. Her original response in Arabic. Word perfect. Measured. I understand every word. It's a shame someone in your position speaks that way, translated by 3 separate experts. Confirmed for legal equivalency. Accepted into federal record. The DOJ attorney turned to the judge. We present a pattern, not of miscommunication but of protected humiliation. A pattern which required cultural ignorance as fuel and silence as its shield. The judge nodded. Proceed. They brought in former employees. Some testified publicly. Some submitted anonymous written statements. One said, I lost my job because I corrected his Arabic during a client dinner. He said I'd embarrassed him. Another, I was told, you're too fluent for your position. Clients don't like that. Each line went into the record. Each voice added weight. No theatrics, just presence. Then Khalil took the stand. His attorney objected to Maya being present. The judge denied it. She's part of the certified oversight team. She stays. Khalil cleared his throat. I never meant harm. I come from a culture where formality is misunderstood. The DOJ attorney leaned forward. And yet the formality you speak of consistently ends with people who look like her losing their jobs. Khalil paused. This is all being taken out of proportion. No, the attorney said. This is being taken out of silence. Maya was called to clarify a document. She stood, walked calmly to the exhibit screen, pointed to a highlighted clause in the internal memo. Never admit linguistic equality. It invites structural liability. Do you believe this reflected company policy? The DOJ asked. Maya nodded once. It wasn't written as a mission statement. It was written as a warning. But it functioned as both. Did you feel safe correcting Mr. Al-Rashid at the time? Maya looked out at the courtroom. No. But I knew my silence would be mistaken for agreement. The judge reviewed the depositions. Summarized the evidence. This court recognizes a deliberate, repeated use of language as a tool of subjugation, often under the guise of formality, hierarchy, or cultural misunderstanding. These are not missteps. They are methods. She ruled civil penalties to Al-Rashid, holdings compliance monitoring for 5 years, unsealing of prior. NDAs for public interest, review employee training reform, under third-party oversight, mandatory promotion track analysis for bilingual and minority staff. Khalil was fined. His board position suspended indefinitely. He was ordered to complete 200 hours of cultural competency training. But more than the fines, more than the reforms, it was the transcript that hurt most, because now it existed, filed, searchable, quoted, not as a scandal, as a precedent. After the hearing, Maya stood outside with no press around her. A young hotel worker approached her quietly. I'm studying Arabic now, she said. Because of you, Maya smiled gently. Good. The more languages you speak, the harder they'll find it to erase you. The hotel issued a formal apology, this time with names. We failed to uphold the dignity of Maya Johnson. Her professionalism, fluency, and integrity reflect values we now commit to uphold, not just in words, but in structure. Below it, the CEO's signature. Below that, a new policy name. The Johnson Language Integrity Clause. It mandated third-party audits of all workplace bias claims involving language, tone, and cultural assumptions. It mandated that all employee complaints filed in a second language be reviewed with native-speaking legal counsel. It didn't erase what happened. It made sure it wouldn't be hidden again. Maya didn't return to the hotel for weeks. But when she did, she wasn't wearing a uniform. She wore a gray tunic, wide-legged trousers, and soft black flats. Hair natural. No makeup. She didn't walk in for a shift. She walked in for tea. The hostess, a young intern named Ayana, recognized her instantly. We saved a table by the window, she said quietly. I hoped you'd come back. Maya nodded. Thank you. Ayana leaned closer. We all watched it happen. But you made sure they couldn't pretend they didn't. The same table where Khalil had insulted her now bore a folded white napkin, a full silver set, and a ceramic cup that didn't wobble when she set it down. The waiter who approached didn't call her Miss. He called her Ms. Johnson. She ordered mint tea and a slice of almond cake. When the check came, it had one line across the bottom. Thank you for your fluency. Later that month, Maya received an invitation from the Federal Oversight Board. They wanted her to consult on cross-cultural workplace training, not as a case study. As an architect, she agreed, with one condition. I don't want my name used for diversity theater. I want policy that knows the difference between compliance and fluency. They agreed. She was hired, full-time, Director of Linguistic Equity Compliance. In her first staff meeting, she said nothing for 5 minutes. Then she opened with one line. My name was once rejected by the same companies now asking me to fix them. The room stayed still, not out of fear, out of respect. Across the industry, change moved slowly, but visibly. The phrase Johnson clause began showing up in HR handbooks. Universities created mini-courses based on her case study, and the phrase she once said in Arabic was now printed on a mural in a Beirut language school. I understand every word. It's a shame you still speak this way. Khalil relocated to Morocco. No formal job title, no platform. His Wikipedia entry was edited to include a new section, Controversy and Policy Reforms. The final line on that page read, Al-Rashid's conduct helped codify the Johnson Clause in workplace discrimination policy. Even his legacy now carried her name. Not out of revenge, out of record. Maya didn't post about it. She didn't need to. Her power was no longer viral. It was legislative. One afternoon, months later, she received a letter, no sender listed. Inside, just one handwritten sentence in Arabic, I used to think you embarrassed him. Now I understand he embarrassed all of us. Signed, a former Al-Rashid employee. She folded it and placed it in a wooden box where she kept handwritten things. Not out of pride, out of preservation. In the final months of the year, Maya walked past the courthouse where she once testified. She paused at the steps, looked up at the seal. The last time she was there, she translated damage. Now she translated prevention. That's what justice is, not just punishing the wrong, but removing the need to repeat it. Back in her apartment, she opened her laptop. A new email came in, subject line. Policy training, hospitality chain, requested speaker, Maya Johnson. She clicked accept, then opened a blank document and typed the title. Fluency as armor, what they never expect you to understand. The apology came on a Thursday, not in the form of a tweet, not as a press stunt. It arrived as a 6-page formal letter printed on thick ivory stock with the Al-Rashid Holdings seal pressed into the corner. We acknowledge the harm done to Ms. Maya Johnson. We recognize the dignity she maintained under public degradation. And we affirm that her treatment was not only unjust, but incompatible with the values we claim to uphold. For once, they didn't use words like incident or unfortunate misunderstanding. They used the word harm. That mattered. The final paragraph confirmed what Maya had already heard through her legal counsel. The hotel had enacted an immediate policy overhaul. It was called the Johnson Language Integrity Clause. The clause had 4 articles. Article I mandated that any complaint involving multilingual conflict be translated and verified by an external certified interpreter before being dismissed. Article 2 required bias training, specifically centered on linguistic profiling, tone policing, and non-native English. Microaggressions. Article 3 prohibited settlements containing language that shielded repeated offenders from internal reviews. Article IV granted every staff member the right to bring forward audio recordings, regardless of company device policy, when dignity was in question. No one needed to mention Maya's name again. But it was there in the footnotes. In the footnotes, history hides what legacy remembers. Maya didn't respond to the letter. Not publicly. Not with a post. Not with a quote. She took a walk instead, down 7th Avenue, past the coffee shop, where she used to revise job applications on her phone during split shifts, past the immigration center where she once volunteered to help newcomers fill out government forms, past the hotel itself. The building looked the same. The name still shone in gold above the revolving doors, but inside it was different now. At the concierge desk, a new sign was displayed behind glass. Language dignity is not optional. It is foundational. Policy Code 3477J, Johnson Clause. She walked into the hotel not as a customer, not as staff, not as a headline, just as herself. Ayana, now a full-time front desk manager, spotted her immediately. "Ms. Johnson?" she smiled. "You came." Maya nodded, calm. "I wanted to see the policy in the wild." Ayana handed her a folded copy. Inside it were translations in Arabic, French, Spanish, Mandarin, each carefully reviewed. No approximations, no disrespect hidden in vagueness. Maya smiled. They got the tone right. That evening, she sat at the same table where Khalil once barked the words, "stupid girl." Now, the table had been renumbered. Not retired, not erased. Just renamed, Table 17 was now Reserved Language Respect Zone. She ordered mint tea, almond cake. The waiter, a new hire named Denzel, greeted her with perfect decorum. "Ms. Johnson, if there's anything about the menu you'd like translated or clarified, please let me know. We're trained now in both the food and the subtext." Maya chuckled. "Subtext was always the spiciest thing on the menu." He nodded. "Not anymore." Later that week, Maya received an invitation from the Department of Labor not to revisit her case. To help shape others, they wanted her to co-author a cross-sector report titled Beyond Compliance, Building Workplaces, Fluent in Dignity. Her section would focus on code switching and emotional exhaustion, language-based, gaslighting documentation as a form of defense non-aggressive accents, and their weaponization she accepted, but only under one condition: no inspirational framing, no trauma packaging. They agreed. The first draft of her section began like this: "My dignity was never the disruption. It was their system that mistook fluency for defiance. I do not wish to be exceptional. I wish to be respected, and I wish to make respect scalable." That same month, 5 universities added the Johnson Clause to their organizational ethics curricula. One school in D.C. created a course called The Language Ledger, Power, Silence and Structure. Its case study? Maya Johnson versus Al-Rashid Holdings. In a video for the course, a student said, "We grew up learning to survive racism. Maya taught us to document it." Another added, "Her response wasn't resistance. It was fluency." In Beirut, a mural appeared on the wall of a language school. It showed a woman standing still, with swirling lines of Arabic, English, and French wrapping around her like wind. At the bottom, "Your tone does not outrank my translation." Students took selfies there. Tourists translated the lines. The school updated its name, the Maya Johnson Institute for Multilingual Justice. Maya found out via email. She hadn't been consulted, but for once, she didn't mind the assumption. Then came a message from a former janitor in the UAE. He wrote, "I was fired for speaking English too well. They said I was trying to act above my role. Now my daughter uses your name in her essays." She says, Maya Johnson didn't raise her voice. She raised the bar. Maya read the message 3 times, then added it to a private folder titled Worth It. Meanwhile, Khalil's name disappeared from the company. First from the masthead, then from the quarterly reports, then from the culture. He was neither sued nor jailed, but he was translated, no longer a symbol of command. Now, a case study, a caution. His story wasn't erased, it was footnoted. And every time someone read the Johnson Clause, they read what happened after him. The Department of Justice created a national index for tracking workplace language abuse. Its first entry, case Rajor 1, Johnson versus Al-Rashid, language-based power misuse. It was searchable, downloadable, permanent. Maya printed the cover page, filed it, then whispered, "Receipt received." By the end of the year, Maya had written a full-length framework for what she called linguistic boundaries of consent. It defined how words, tones, and accents create unspoken hierarchies, and it offered a blueprint for dismantling them. The final sentence: "We cannot flatten people into silence, then punish them for how loudly they recover." The last time Maya visited the hotel, she walked in anonymously. No one stopped her. No one stared. She watched a young staffer calmly correct a foreign guest's pronunciation with no fear in her face, Then she sat at a different table. Ordered mint tea. Read a book. Halfway through the cup, she took out her phone. Opened the original folder. Renamed it from Receipts to Structure. Then she closed the laptop, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she had to remember everything because now the system remembered for her. In the months that followed, the Johnson clause was replicated by 5 hotel chains, 2 banks, and a national airline. It wasn't marketed. It wasn't branded. It simply appeared in footnotes, as outlined in the Johnson language integrity provision. Must follow multilingual dignity protocols per the Johnson clause, and just like that, her name outlived the moment. Maya never called herself an activist. She never took speaking gigs with LED backdrops or flew first class to panels. She preferred boardrooms, translation tables, places where silence used to rule, where words had been used as cages, until she taught them how to open doors instead. One night, Ayana, the same intern who welcomed her back to the hotel, messaged Maya a photo. It showed a laminated card, newly added to all staff welcome packets. At the top, it said, "Respect is a language. We speak it here." Below that, a quote, "Dignity is not something you earn. It's something you shouldn't need permission to keep." MJ elsewhere, a waitress in Doha, corrected a customer in perfect French. He had assumed she didn't speak it. He had been wrong. No lawsuit followed. No video went viral, but the man left a tip and a note that said, "Thank you for your patience and your clarity. Progress doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just doesn't repeat." At a union training in Chicago, a facilitator asked the room, "Who here knows what the Johnson clause is?" Every hand went up. One woman added, "It's why I don't second-guess correcting someone anymore." Another, "It's why I applied for management." "No one can say I don't belong," a third. "It's why I started studying Arabic again." Maya's inbox became a different kind of full. Not with outrage, but with quiet. Gratitude. A Nigerian-American teacher who now includes her story and curriculum. A Lebanese hospitality worker who felt seen. A grandmother who said, "My daughter speaks 3 languages. I used to tell her to be quiet. You taught me to let her speak." In the years that followed, a few journalists tried to revive the scandal. Tried to ask Maya for interviews, for emotion. For pain, she declined. Her story wasn't about virality. It was about infrastructure. She didn't need headlines. She had a clause. In 2030, a federal labor report reviewed the impact of new workplace reforms. The Johnson Clause was cited 16 times. Its full name appeared in footnote number 42. Language, Equity, and Justice, the Maya Johnson Precedent. No bold fonts. No flashing banners. Just law. Alive. Permanent. One night, Maya sat in the same apartment where it all began. She brewed mint tea. Opened the original folder on her laptop. It was no longer titled Receipts. It was now titled Structure, because stories fade. But systems hold. She clicked open the final document. At the top, it read, "They said, 'Stupid girl.' I replied in perfect Arabic. And then in perfect policy." She saved it, then logged off. This story was never just about a slur, or a CEO, or even a courtroom. It was about what happens when someone expected to stay silent learns to document, when someone expected to serve shows up with structure, when fluency becomes armor. Share this if you believe dignity should never need permission.